अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांशं श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांशम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिविकासस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृणुतं स्वकताः कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृद्यन्तस्त्वैह भद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। एते चां सकलाः पुंसः कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयम् इन्द्रारिव्याकुलं लोकं रुडयन्ति युगे युगे। इदं भागवतं नाम पुराणं ब्रह्मसंहितम् उत्तमश्लोकचरितं चकार भगवान् ऋषिः निःश्रेयसाय लोकधन्यं स्वस्तये नमः। कृष्णे स्वदामोपगते धर्मज्ञानादिभिः सह खलु न श्रुषामेषा पुराणार्कोऽधुनोदितः। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रये। अथ विश्वेश विश्वात्मन् विश्वमूर्ते स्वकेषु मे स्नेहपाशम् इमं चिन्तिदृढं पाण्डुषु विष्णुषु त्वयि मेनन्यविषयमतिर्मदपति असकुरुत्रतिमुद्वाहतर्धगङ्ग्यवभूदन्वति। श्रीकृष्ण कृष्ण सख विष्णु वृषभावनिधृग्राजन्यवंशिदहनान् अपवर्गवीर्य गोविन्द गोद्विज सुराति हरावतार योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते। योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते। योगेश्वर किल गुरो भगवन् नमस्ते। तुलयामलवेनापि न स्वर्गं न पुनर्भवं भगवत्सङ्गीसङ्गस्य मच्चाणां किमुत शिशः। पुनश्च भूयात् भगवज्जनन्ते रतिः प्रसङ्गः तदाश्रयेषु महस्तु यां याम् उपयामि सृष्टिं मैत्रस्तु सर्वत्र नमो द्विजेभ्यः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनामिने गौरद्विषे नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरं श्रीचैतन्यप्रभुं वन्दे बालोऽपि यदनुग्रहात् तरेन्नानमतग्रहः व्याप्तं सिद्धान्तसागरम्। श्रीचैतन्यप्रभुं वन्दे यत्पादाश्रीविदितः सङ्गृह्णाति आकरुणातात् अज्ञः सिद्धान्तसन्मनीम्। ॐ नमो भगवते राधा गोविन्दाय नमः। हरे कृष्ण। Thank you for kindly waiting. I shall share my screen. It's Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam, we are in the third canto, 31 chapter. Is the Lord Kapila's instructions and the movements of the living entities. So in this chapter, starting from the baby, how he enters into the womb of the woman, in womb of his mother, through the semen, taking the shelter of the semen of the father, and then he gradually develops, the body develops, and then goes through so much of difficulties in the womb of the mother. And then during that time, he offers prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then in that prayers, he is resolute. He is trying to, he is committing that he would dedicate himself unto the Supreme Personality, service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. तस्मादहं विकितविक्ल उद्धरिष्य आत्मानुमासितं सह सुहृदात्मनैव भूयो यथा व्यसनं एतद् अनेकरन्ध्रं मामे भविष्यति उपसादित विष्णुपादः. I do not want to take birth again, so I will take the shelter of lotus feet of the Lord. And this became a bad habit, entering into the womb of so many mothers. Bhuyo yata vyasanam. Vyasanam is the habits. So in such a way, after that, when he was praying, the Srutivata air, it will push him outside of the womb of the mother. And then he comes out, and then there, by the force of the air and the pain he goes through, he forgets all the smriti. uh, whatever the smriti he has got in the womb of the mother, tatra smriti daivad karma janma setodbhavam. So he remembers 100 lifetimes before, and then as in, by the pain he comes out during time that he comes out, the pain he goes through, by that he forgets everything. Gata smritihi. And then once he comes out, um, so there it is mentioned, Vinishkamadi Kurichena Nirchvaso Hata Smritihi, and he will forget everything. And then so he grows under the care of father and mother who does not understand the needs of a baby. Of course, baby may be thinking that some other problem, but whereas mother thinks he may be hungry for everything, he may be hungry, something like that. Even though he is lying on the bed, and the flies and the mosquitoes and the bugs, when they bite, the baby cries. But they turanti amat vacham damsha mashaka mat punadayah. When they are biting, he cries, Rudantam vikata jnanam krumayah krimikam yada. Just like he cries. One gem bites another gem likewise. When the bites are biting the baby, he cries aloud, a lot. Rudantam vikata jnanam. So in such a way, he spends all of his childhood, and also he grows. Ichevam saisvam bhukta dukkam paugandam evacha alabdha abhipsito ajnanat idhamanyuhu sucharpitaha. Idhamanyuhu sucharpitaha. And then while he was growing, he wanted to do something, and but parents and relatives, they said, don't do that, don't do that. In such a way, he grows with so much of dissatisfaction. Ityevam saisavam bhuktva, and all of until 5 years, and then 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then Paugandam, even the Pauganda, that period also, Alabdha Abhipsto Ajnanad. and his desires will not be fulfilled. If he want to do something, but his family does not allow him to do that. Don't, no, like that. Iddhamanyuhu charpitaham. And he is always angry by that one, and also with a bit of dissatisfaction. Sucharpitaha, Iddhamanyuhu Sucharpitaha. So, and then in such a way, later on, he keep on growing until the youth, until his body properly develops at least 16 years of age. So by that time, he develops so many desires, and those desires are by the false ego. And in the similar way, he will make the enviousness towards the people who are of having the similar kind of desires and the similar kind of ego stuff. Okay, so in such a way, Kapil Bhagwan has been explaining. So in the last session, it was covered up to 29 shloka. So today we are going to enter into 30th shloka. What else further that living entity would go through? So here, Kapil Bhagavan says, once he is properly entangled in this material world, he thinks that I belong to this particular body. I am called with this particular name. I live in this house, and people in and around in this house are my relatives. This is my father, and this is my mother. So in such a way, everything that he belongs to everything, me and mine, and I belong to this. So such aham mameti. In such a way, uh, he develops all false ego and put up himself back in the false ego conceptions. Okay, likewise, we are starting with the 30th shloka. भूतैः पञ्चभिः आरब्धे देहे देहि अबुधो असकृत् अहममेति असद्ग्राहः करोति कुमतिर्मतिम्. So bhutaihi panchabihi arabdhe. Bhutaihi by material elements, panchabihi those five, earth, water, fire, and then the wind and sky. So these are bhutaihi panchabihi arabdhe. His body is made of these five elements. Dehe in the body. Dehi, the living entity which is occupying that body. Abudho asakurat. Abudaha. Abudaha is ignorant, asakurat, and he constantly aham mameti asadgrahaha, and thinking that aham, it is I, mama, mine, aham mama, iti, in this way, asadgrahaha. He think asat is the non-permanent things. Graha, accepting things which are not permanent, uh, accepting that these are me and mine in such a way. This is called karoti kumatir matim, and he does kumati, he being foolish, matim, the thought. He thinks all those things, temporary things as mine, but nothing will come with him once he leaves the body. Okay, so bhutaihi panchabihi arabdhe dehe dehi abudo asakrit ahamameti asadgrahaha karoti kumatir matim. So translation. By such ignorance, the living entity accepts the material body, which is made of five elements, as himself. With this misunderstanding, he accepts non-permanent things as his own and increases his ignorance in the darkest region. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can I request any devotee to read the purport, please?
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna. The expense of ignorance is explained in this verse. The first ignorance is to identify one's material body, which, God, what, sorry. God, I missed it. I can't see. Okay. Dear me, what I'm doing. Sorry, I can't see the text. What I've done, I don't know. Sorry, Prabhuji. Can anybody can?
Can I read? Yeah, I can read.
Because I can't
Mataji.
see. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Usha Mataji, you can read the next one. I'll cover up this one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The expansion of ignorance is explained in this verse. The first yes, thank you, Prabhuji. The first ignorance is to identify one's material body, which is made of 5 elements, as the self, and the second is to accept something as one's own due to a bodily connection. In this way, ignorance expands. The living entity is eternal, but because of his accepting non permanent things, misidentifying his interest, he is put into ignorance and therefore he suffers material pangs. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So here, the expansion of the ignorance. So this universe has created from the mode of ignorance. In the 26th chapter, where Kapil Bhagavan describes, think 35 shlokas, so where Tamasacha Vikurvana Bhagat Viri Choditat Shabdamatram Abhustasma Nabaha Srotram to Shabdagam. This universe has emanated from the mode of ignorance. Tamasacha Vikurvana, when the mode of ignorance got agitated by Bhagavat Virya Choditat. So, Shabdamatram Abhustasmat Nabaha Srotram to Shabdagam. So the first thing is the Shabdam, the sound vibrations. That is the first. It was emanated from the mode of ignorance. For that one, later on the sky got emanated, and then from the sky gradually corresponding the senses, the ears, and then next one is the air and corresponding sense of touch, that is skin. So those tanmatras and the senses plus the Panchabhutas, gradually they got manifested, starting from mode of ignorance. So Brahma in the beginning of the creation, Sasajagri Anata Mishra Atata Mishra Mahamoham cha Moham cha Adhyana Vrittayah. So these are all Mahamoham cha, Moham cha, these are all Andata Mishram, Atata Mishram. So these are all being created. These are material essence engagements. So as soon as one takes birth here in this universe, and then automatically he thinks that the body belongs to him. That is illusion. That starting point. So expansion of ignorance is explained here. The first ignorance is to identify one's material body, so which is made up of the 5 elements as self, and the second is to accept something as one's own due to bodily connection. So this is starting from the 4 Kumaras. So Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara. So from their point on, starting from them, everything is identifying their material bodies as themselves. And here, but anything associating to the body, yatha putra chivitta cha pratakmatyah pratiyete, api atmatvena abhimata dehadehe purusha sada. We have got the body and we have got a wealth and the house, and these are all different paraphernalia. Similarly, dehadehe purusha sada, and we are not the body. Body is also one of the asset of the spirit soul, and anything associated with it is also, but living entity in the mode of ignorance thinks that the body and all associated paraphernalia belongs to him. This is yadadruvasya dehasya saunubhandasya dhurmatihi drvani manyate mohat gurha kshetra vasunicha. Drvani manyate, thinking that everything is permanent, this body is permanent, anything associating paraphernalia, Sanubhandasya, sa anubhandasya durmatihi. In such a way, he thinks this ignorance expands further and further. Atmajayasthagar pasudravana bandushu niruda mola hridaya atmanam bahumanyate. And there is no better than me. So I have got my wife and children, Atma Jaya Sutagar, Pasu Dravina Bandhu, I got vehicle, so much of cattle, and then enough bank balance, good children who are listening. In such a way, one is deeply rooted. Niroda Mola Pradaya, Niroda, deeply rooted in the heart. In such a way, Atmanam Bahumanyate. So I'm sufficiently satisfied. This is the mode of ignorance. This is moha. So the living entity is eternal, but because of his accepting non-permanent things, misidentifying his interest, he is put into ignorance. That is ignorance. And therefore he suffers material pangs. Because once we leave the material body, whatever the body is so beautiful, uh, at the present moment, if we go in front of the mirror and watch number of times, oh, whether I'm good, I'm appearing very nicely like that. So everything, this is an illusion. But the same body, as soon as we leave the body, no one will touch that body, even the children or wife or husband, anyone. Even though it is so beautiful, it is already started decomposing. No one would touch it. It will be going to graveyard. Dead bodies are meant to be in the graveyards. So that is the value of the body. But as long as that is very easy to understand, but people tesham pramatto nidhanam passinnapi na pasyati. This is called tesham pramattaha. They neglect, they do not give seriousness to that kind of change of the body. So what is present, we are present in this body. Once we leave the body, what happens in this body? We are seeing everywhere in front of our eyes, but still we do not think that one for ourselves, because this is called ignorance. This is called ignorance. And therefore, he suffers material pangs. He suffers material pangs. Nothing will come with us. That does not mean one should not act with dutifully. So again, it will give more and more problems. That will, Prabhupada says, it is kind of a madness. Some people, they whenever do all kinds of nonsense and finally say that the body is temporary, I am soul, but they do not do what they must be doing it. That is more ignorance, more foolishness. Yes, so this is Kapil Bhagavan is saying, Bhutaihi panchibihi arabdhe, dehe dehi abudu asakurat, aham mameti asadgraha karoti kumatirmatin. Uh, in his prayers of the baby, so he was also Yah Panchabhota Rachite Rahitaha Sharire, Chenno Aitendra Gunad Chitatmakoham, Tena Vikunta Mahimanam Vushimtamenam, Vande Param Prakriti Purushayoho Pumamsam. The same reflection when he was in the womb of the mother, he was mentioning Yah Panchabhota Rachite. This material body, whatever he has got, it is Panchabhota Rachite Rahitaha Sharire. So actually his own body is of the spiritual body, but at the moment he is now occupied within he is now occupying the material body. Chenno aitendri gunarda chidatmakoham. So in the same, the 14th, 14th shloka there, he says, I am separated from the Supreme Lord because of my being in this material body, which is made of 5 elements, and therefore my qualities and senses are being misused, although I am essentially spiritual, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental to material nature and the living entities, because he is devoid of such material body, and because he is always glorious in his spiritual qualities, I offer my obeisances unto him. And here in this one, although I am spiritual, baby internally when he is inside the womb of mother, this is called smriti, tatra labdha smritir dhaivat. He remembers. And as soon as he comes out, then here his ignorance increases. Everything like identifying himself as the body. So he is put into ignorance and therefore he suffers material pangs. Okay, that is from the shloka. And we shall move on to the next one is the 31 shloka. Here, because he has identified himself as the body, so for that one, he performs so many activities which are not meant to be done. So because instead of which are entangling him in this material world. Okay, likewise, Kapil Bhagavan says, Tadattam kurte karma yad bhaddojati samsritim yo anuyati dadat klesham avidya karma bandhanaha. Avidya karma bandhanaha. Tadattam kurte karma. So tadattam, for the sake of the body, kurite karma, he performs so many activities. Kurite karma, yad baddojati samsritim, and that activities bound by those activities bound him to repeated birth and death. Samsritim, jad baddojati samsritim, yo anuyati dadat klesham, and that body anuyati, it follows dadat klesham, giving pains and miseries. It is the practical experience. Until some time when the body is young, one may be playing and doing things, and as body grows, he will be getting married and then very enthusiastically wife and children going, and his body is energetic. As the age gradually progresses, the body energy will be dried up, and he is seeing the repeated problems again and again, and he gets frustrated at the activities, and he could not solve any problems, and gradually his enthusiasm, his energy will be gradually reduced. And then he will start, the suffering would start. So this is yo anuyahi dadat klesham by avidya karma bandhanaha. Avidya by ignorance and karma by fruitive activities, bandhanaha, the cause of bondage. Okay, so this body gives so many miseries. Yo anuyati dadat klesham avidya karma bandhanaha. So tadattum kurite karma yad baddojati samsritim yo anuyati dadat klesham avidya karma bandhanaha. So for the sake of the body, which is a source of constant trouble to him, and which follows him because he is bound by ties of ignorance and fruitive activities, he performs various actions which cause him to be subjected to repeated birth and death. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, there are two paragraphs. Can I request two devotees to read two paragraphs? One devotee, first paragraph, second devotee, second paragraph, please.
Prabhuji, can Usha Mataji read the first one, please? Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that one has to work to satisfy Yagna or Vishnu. For any work done without the purpose of satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a cause of bondage. In the conditional state of living entity, accepting his body as himself, forgets his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and acts on the interest of his body. He takes a body as himself, his bodily expansion as his kinsman, and the land from which his body is born is worshipable. In this way, he performs all sorts of misconceived activities which lead to his perpetual bondage in the repetition of birth and death in various species. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Can you request another devotee to read the next paragraph, please?
Can I read it, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
In modern civilization, the so-called social, national, and government leaders mislead people more and more under the bodily conception of life, with the result that all the leaders with their followers are gliding down to hellish conditions birth after birth. An example is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Andha Yatha Andhe Upani Yamanaha. When a blind man leads several other blind men, the result is that all of them fall down in a ditch. This is actually happening. There are many leaders to lead the ignorant public, but because every one of them is bewildered by the bodily conception of life, there is no peace and prosperity in human society. So-called yogis who perform various bodily feats are also in the same category as such ignorant people, because the Hatha Yoga system is especially recommended for persons who are grossly implicated in the bodily conception. The conclusion is that as long as one is fixed in the bodily conception, he has to suffer birth and death. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Very beautifully read. So here, Prabhupada is describing from Bhagavad Gita. So any work, it is only meant for satisfy yajna. Samsiddhir haritokranam. Atah pumbid vijisreshta varnashrami vibhagashah. Swanishtasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritokranam. For the pleasure of the Lord, Hari. And this is yajnadhat. So here in the Karma Yoga, yajnadhat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Tadattam karma kaunteya mukta sangaha samachara. Yajna Adhar. So one has to perform Yajna Adha for the sake of Yajna or Vishnu. Karmano Anyatra Lokoyam Karma Bandhana. If we perform anything apart from Vishnu, then it will entangle one into a material world. And this is called Karma Bandhana. So Krishna says, Tadattam Karma Kaunteya. So, O Kaunteya, O Arjuna, for that purpose, you carry out your activity. Mukt Sangha Samachara. And it is like a liberated from the association. Okay. Here Prabhupada is describing that one. And then if the conditioned state, a living entity accepting his body as himself forgets his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and acts on the interest of his body. So here Prabhupada generally he quotes one of the shloka like Nate viduhu swadagatim Vishnuhu. People they do not know their interest is in the Vishnu instead their interest of their bodies. Garbhodakshai, we know one of the prayers of Brahma. So after Brahma's prayers, Lord says that Aham atma atmanam dataha preshtaha san presamapi ato mayaratim kudya dehadihi yatkute priyaha. So I am the one to be worshipped. Everyone should only like me. Like Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Likewise, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu says to Brahma, Aham atma atmanam dhataha preshtaha san presamapi. I am the most beloved one out of all the beloved ones. So one should only like me, love me. Likewise. Preshtaha presanapi. But ato mayi ratim kuryad dehadihi yatkute priyaha. But whereas people who falsely they like their own body, because their body is going to be turned into either ashes or turned into a stool of a cat, dogs or foxes, or it will turn into ashes or a soil. It will be eaten by something like, that is the end of his body. But whereas Lord's body is spiritual, and we are also meant to have spiritual body. At the moment, our spiritual body is served by this gross and subtle bodies. Okay, so one must be knowing that his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Mamaivam cha jivoloke jiva bodha sanatana. So he takes the body as himself and his bodily expansion as his kinsman, and the land from which his body is born as worshipable. This is Yasyatma Buddhi Kodapetri Dhatuke Skalatradishu Bhauma Ijjadihi, and all of his children, and Bhauma Ijjadihi. Bhauma is the land where he is born, Ijjadihi, which is worshipable. In such a way, Yasyatma Buddhi Kodapetri Dhatuke. So likewise, living entity entangles more and more. And Prabhupada a number of times mentions that in India, so many scholars, the great personalities are politicians, and they are writing commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita showing that I'm having Bhagavad Gita. I follow Bhagavad Gita instructions, but at the end, they're still working for the country's sake. I wanted to, but at the end, what happens? So Prabhupada is mentioning about Mahatma Gandhi. He was always having Bhagavad Gita in his book, but if he is having Bhagavad Gita and studied, he must know that he is a spiritual soul, not that he belongs to one particular community or nation or particular group, something like that. Likewise, many other people are like that. They're all in the bodily concept of life. So in this way, he performs all sorts of misconceived activities which lead to his perpetual bondage in repetition of birth and death in various species. So even though one may think that Lord is in my heart, yes, Lord is in his heart, he is not far away. But for people in this concept of life, in the perpetual bondage, even in the heart, they cannot perceive the Lord. So the demigods, they're addressing in their prayers to the Lord, whenever they are trying to get the power to carry out their functions. During the time they offer their prayers, there Yatsanubande Sadehagehe Mamahamityuda Duragrahanam Pumsam Sudoram Vasatopi Puryam Bhaje Matete Bhagwan Padabjim. So people who thinks Yatsanubande Sadehagehe Mamahamityuda Duragrahanam, and my body, this is my family, in such a way, Pumsam Sudorum Vastopi Puryam. But Lord, in the heart of that person, he is very, very far away for him. Pumsam Sudorum Vasatopi Puryam. Though Lord is in the same in the heart of that living entity, but he is very far for him to reach because he is in the bodily concept of life. Okay, so that is he cannot understand. He is covered by the illusory energy of the Lord. In the modern civilization, the so-called social, national, and government leaders misled people more and more under the bodily concept of life. Okay, this is what I was mentioning. Even the great politicians, and but they will give commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita and so many things, but they do not follow. And still identify I'm in India and I'm the leader. Like identifying belong to this particular community, like that. That is a bodily concept of life. They are unqualified to comment on anything on the Bhagavad Gita. So, with that result, that all the leaders with their followers are gliding down to hellish conditions, birth after birth. This is an example in the Andayatan Dhairi Upaniyamana. A blind man leads several other blind men. The result is that all of them fall down in a ditch. If we do not perform keeping Krishna in the center, then every activity is going to be a failure. Though one country may be fighting for the freedom, and after getting the freedom, what happens? So that results, because it is not meant for Vishnu or Yajna, then the result is not going to be favorable. This is Sadhya Chinatyanimshaya Namostu Tasmai. Brahma says that again. Any activity, it doesn't matter. I'm working for my country. I'm fighting or playing for my country. Because you're not playing for Vishnu, then either it is a success or failure. When you are working on behalf of Krishna, it will lead to auspicious results. But even though if it is not, Krishna is not there, either it is success or failure, there is no use. Because it will lead only better results at the end. That people would experience that one. So this is actually happening. So there are many leaders lead the ignorant public, but because every one of them is bewildered by the bodily concept of life, there is no peace and prosperity in human society. So-called yogis who perform various bodily feats are also in the same category. As such, ignorant people, because the Hatha Yoga system is especially recommended for persons who are grossly implicated in the bodily conception. So this is where yogi is sitting in a secluded place, controlling the breathings. So, प्राणस्य सोदयेर्मार्गं पूरकुम्भकरेचिकैः प्रतिकूलेन वाचित्तं यथा स्थिरम् अचञ्चलम्. This is Hatha Yoga. स्वदिष्ञानाम् एकदेशे मनसा प्राणधारणं वैकुण्ठलेन अभिध्यानं समाधानं तथात्मनः. And then meditate by this one, gradually he will be free from the material entanglement. Then he would focus on the Kastam Bhagavato Jhayat Swanasagra Avalokanaha. And then he focus uh, his mind on the beautiful form of the Lord. Once he is free from all the sense gratification, the bodily concept, then he will focus. So that Hatha Yoga system is recommended for persons who are grossly implicated in the bodily conception. So that is just a starting point. But whereas the devotees, they're directly engaging in the devotional service. So because of that, they're always a transcendental. Though one may be in the initial stages, but he's in the right path. But whereas in the Hatha Yoga system, if he is not able to control uh, his senses, this is again mentioned by the demigods. Tata parichatma samadhi yoga balena jitva prakritim balishtam twameva dhiraha purusham vishanti tesham shramaha syannatu sevayate. People, they are very trying to control the senses, which are very stronger. But prakritim balishtam. But whereas the devotees simply executing the devotional service unto the Lord, twameva dhiraha purusham vishanti, they will attain the Supreme Lord. Tesham sramaha syannatu sevayate. Just sevaya, devotional service. That is very easy. It is a direct. Okay, so that is a difference between Hatha Yoga and the conclusion is that as long as one is fixed in the bodily conception, he has to suffer birth and death. Okay, so that is from this paragraph. So, and also there are so many tapasvino, danapara, yasasvino, manasvino, mantrivida sumangalaha, kshemam na vinnanti vina yadarpanam tasmai subdrasravase namo namaha. Anything, this is tapasvino, danapara, yasasvino, manasvino, mantrivida sumangalaha, kshemam na vinnanti Vina yadarpanam, until they are offering unto the lotus feet of the Lord, there is no success for them, no auspiciousness. Either it is a tapasya, dana is a charity, yasisvino or any famous. Unless one is offering all of them to Krishna, there is no auspiciousness for them. Vina yadarpanam. Tasmai subhadrasravase namo nama. It will lead him. Even though Daivardhata Rachana Rushyopi Deva Yushmas Prasanga Vimuka Iha Samsaranti. And even the great sages, even whatever the great sages they may be, if they are Vimuka Iha Samsaranti, if they are not hearing Krishna Katha, they will also go to the birth and old age, disease and death, this birth and death life cycle. Again, this is a Brahma says that statement. Daiva hatadharachana rushyopi deva yusmat prasanga vimuka iha samsaranti. If they do not hear Krishna Katha, they will also go through birth and death life cycle. So what is very important? This is Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Everyday hearing of Krishna Katha, which will relieve him. Konamaloke Purushartha Saravit Pura Kathanam Bhagavad Katha Sudam Api Kannanjalipi Bhavapaham Aho Virjeta Vina Naretaram. Very beautifully Maitreya Muni says that Konamaloke Purushartha Saravit. So when we are hearing this Bhagavad Katha, Pura Kathanam Bhagavad Katha Sudam, the beautiful nectar of Krishna Katha. It is what happens. Apiya kannanjalibihi bhavapaham. It will remove birth and death life cycle. It will keep one out of this cycle. Bhavapaham. And who would not take to this path? Aho virjeta vina naretaram. If he is not a human being, he does not. If he is a human being, then he will hear Krishna Katha. Likewise, Maitreya Muni says. Okay, so here in this mostly of the politicals who are blind and leading another blind man. people are put up into modern science so that all of their intelligence is covered. You are trained to work more and more, not to get liberation. That is modern education. Okay, that is from here. Kapil Bhagavan says, Tadattam kurite karma yad baddho yati samsritim yo anuyati tadat klesham avidya karma bandhanaha. Avidya karma bandhanaha. What is vidya? What is avidya? Vidya means which one relieves one from the material entanglement, that is vidya. Avidya means it is in a science. It will make him to work more and more. Okay, so that is from that shloka. We shall move on to the next one. So here, in such a way, the living entity, he will be engaged for the sake of the tummy and for the sake of genital, and then like previously, again he will start entering into the hellish path. So 32 shloka. Yes, यद् असद्भिः पतिपुनः श्रीष्णोदरकृतोद्यमैः आसितो रमते जन्तुः तमो विशति पूर्ववत् यदि असद्भिः पतिपुनः. So if asadbihi, with the unrighteous, pati on the path, punaha again, which is the unrighteous path again. Why it is so? Sisnodara krutodhamaihi, because he is now following the path of genitals. Sisna is for the genitals, udara for the stomach. Sisnodara krutodhamaihi, kruta is done, ujjamaihi, whose endeavors are for satisfying the genital and the tummy. Astito ramate jantuhu, and astitaha, associating, ramate, and he enjoys jantuhu, the living entity. Tamo vishati purvavat, and he enters into the darkness as it was before. Tamo vishati purvat. This is bhuyo yata vyasanam yetad anekarandram, entering into womb of so many mothers. This is tamo vishati purvat, just like as before, he enters the womb of another mother. यदि असद्भिः पतिपुनः शिश्नोधर कृतोज्जमैः आस्ते रमते जन्तुः तमो विशति पूर्ववत्. The translation: if therefore the living entity again associates with the path of unrighteousness, influenced by sensually minded people, engaged in the pursuit of sexual enjoyment and the gratification of the palate, he again goes to hell as before. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If there are two paragraphs, can I request two other voluntary devotees to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
It has been explained that the conditioned soul is put into the Andatamishra and Tamishra hellish conditions, and after suffering there, he gets a hellish body like the dogs or hogs. After several such births, he again comes into the form of a human being. How the human being is born is also described by Kapil Dev. The human being develops in the mother's abdomen and suffers there and comes out again. After all these sufferings, he gets another chance in a human body and wastes his valuable time in the association of persons who are concerned with sexual life and palatable dishes. Then naturally he again glides down to the same Andamishra, Andatamishra, and Tamishra hells. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nicely read. Can request the devotee to read next paragraph, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Generally, people are concerned with the satisfaction of the tongue and the satisfaction of the genitals. That is material life. Material life means eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy, with no concern for understanding one's spiritual identity and the process of spiritual advancement. Since materialistic people are concerned with the tongue, belly, and genitals, if anyone wants to advance in spiritual life, he must be very careful about associating with such people. To associate with such materialistic men is to commit purposeful suicide in this human form of life. It is said, therefore, that an intelligent man should give up such undesirable association and should always mix with saintly persons. When he is in association with saintly persons, all his doubts about the spiritual expansion of life are eradicated, and he makes tangible progress on the path of spiritual understanding. It is also sometimes found that people are very much addicted to a particular type of religious faith. Hindus, Muslims, and Christians are faithful in their particular type of religion, and they go to the church, temple, or mosque, but unfortunately they cannot give up the association of persons who are too much addicted to sex life and satisfaction of the palate. Here it is clearly said that one may officially be a very religious man, but if he associates with such persons, then he is sure to slide down to the darkest religion of hell. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Mataji. It is again long purport. In the previous chapter, Kapil Bhagavan mentioned that Yahta Mishra and Ta Mishra Rauravadyaksha Yatanaha and Bhunte Narova Nariva Mitaha Sangena Nirmitaha. People who mix without relations, the men and women, they all go to Anta Mishra. Yahta Mishra and Ta Mishra. So those are hellish conditions. Okay, and after suffering there, he gets a hellish body like Yatana Deha, like the dogs or hogs. After several such births, he again comes into the form of human being. So here, the consciousness of mixing women and men, that is on particular level, like animalistic level. So for example, there are 33 levels of this consciousness, ascending hierarchy of consciousness. So, for example, if he is like a human being, he's not Aryan yet, not Varnashrama. If he does and act like a cats or dogs, he will fall down into the category maybe the seventh. Again, from the seventh, he need to gradually progress, ascend further again, just like a ladder, snake and ladder games. So if he just comes down, he again you need to gradually. Kramashah anukramya Kramashah samanukramiya punaratra vrajet suchihi. After adastha narlokasya yavatihi yatnadaya. After going through the sufferings, and once that suffering is finished, that punishment is done. Now, Kramashah samanukramiya. Gradually he come to that position wherever he was before. Punaratra vrajet suchihi. Again, he has to purify himself. This is the gradual purifying his consciousness. Whenever it is completely purified, it is called Vasudeva Sthiti. Yadahu Vasudevakyam Chittam Tad Mahadatmakam Santam Bhagavataha Padam. It is Santaha. Again, it is very pure. Yathapam Prakritihi Para. Just like when water, rain is falling from the sky. And the water is so pure, it is distilled. As soon as it touches the ground, it becomes contaminated. In the similar way, when he come in contact with the matter, his consciousness is polluted. Again, he needs to purify it by studying the scriptures and taking the shelter of bona fide spiritual master. So here, after several such births, he again comes into the form of human being. So How the human being is born is also described by Kapila. And the human being develops in the mother's abdomen and suffers there and comes out again, as we are going through now. Okay, after all these sufferings, if he gets another chance in a human body and waste his valuable time in association of persons who are concerned with sexual life and palatable dishes, then naturally he again glides down to the same Antamishra and Tamishra hells. If he knowingly, if he falls down, he is called as killer of his own soul, sub Atmaha. Again, this Nrudehamadjam Sulabham Sudillabham Plavam Sukalpam Guru Karnadharam. And this is the boat. Human body is like a boat. Sukalpam Guru Karnadharam, which can be led by the captain of a spiritual master. The boat can be led by the spiritual master, is like a captain. He will lead the boat. And Maya Anukulena, and Maya Anukulena, by the favorably instructions of Krishna, Maya Anukulena, and following the instructions of Krishna, Maya Anukulena, Nabasvare Tiritaha, just like a wind in the sky, it blows and it will move the boat very softly in the direction how it goes. In this Maya Anukulena, in such a way, Puman Bhavabdhi Naret Sa Atmaha. If a person does not cross this material science with the help of Guru Karnadharam, then he is like a Sa Atmaha. Natere. If he is not crossing, then Sa Atmaha. He is the killer of his own soul. So in the beginning of Bhagavatam, the Savanikadi sages, they are also glorifying Sutta Goswami. So this statement, Sa Atmaha, Krishna says to Uddhava. And similarly, Savanikadi sages, Twamnaha Sandishra Dhatra Dustaram Nistitishtam Kalim Tattva Haram Pumsam Karnadhara Ivarnavam. You have appeared also to Goswami here. We are very fortunate to see you. Twamnaha Sandishra Dhatra Dustaram Nistitishtam. It is very difficult to cross this material world. To live in this material world, it is not possible peacefully. Dustaram Nistitishtam. And Kalim Sattva Haram Pumsam. In this age of Kali, it will take all good characteristics of the people. Kalim Sattva Haram Pumsam and Karnadhara Ivarnavam. You are just like a Karnadhara, captain of the boat, Ivarnavam, to cross this material ocean. This material life is ocean of problems. So when we have got the spiritual master, he would lead us to the other shore, to the until the end of the life, we'll softly take him and show the path to the spiritual world. If he does not take that help, then he is called Sa Atmaha, killer of his own soul. So generally people are concerned with the satisfaction of the tongue and the satisfaction of the genitals. That is the material life. So that because of those things, the spiritual life starts with the Sevonmukhe Jihvadav, Sevonmukhe, because na bhavet grahyam, Ataha Sri Krishnamadi na bhavet grahyam indriyehi, Sevonmukhe Jihvadav, engage the tongue in the devotional service. Then automatically that satisfaction tongue will be diminished, but whereas it engages in the devotionals, connecting to the Supreme Lord. And what about the genitals? So you can marry as many number of women and you can give birth to so many hundreds and thousands of children if they are Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, you cannot become a father, you cannot become a guru or mother or a demigod if you are not able to bring your children or your disciples to make them cross this material nescience. So here again, this Dharma Viruddha Kamosmi, second Krishna says, I represent the sexual life which is not against the Vedic injunctions. Okay, so but here the material life means eat, drink, and be merry, and enjoy with no concern for understanding one's spiritual identity. This is like a demonic nature. This is asatyam apritistam te jagadahuranishwaram aparaspara sambhotam kimanyat kamahaitukam. There is no truth beyond this. It is only for enjoying. Aparaspara sambhotam kimanyat kamahaitukam, for the enjoyment. Everything just because of sex, the people they beget children. Asatyam apritistam te jagadahu anishwaram. There is no controller. In such a demonic life, it would start. And this is, they wanted to forget and they wanted to enjoy, drink, be merry, and enjoy with no concern for understanding one's spiritual identity. So since materialistic people are concerned with the tongue, belly, and genitals, if anyone wants to advance in spiritual life, he must be very careful about associating with such people. So Kapil Bhagavan says that Sangam na kurya socheshu yoshit krida mrugeshu cha. Yoshit krida mrugeshu cha. He is like a pet husband or a man who is like a puppet in the hand of a woman. And one should not make association with such kind of persons. So otherwise, it is to associate with such materialistic men is to commit purposeful suicide in the human form of life. It is that therefore that an intelligent man should give up such undesirable association, should always mix with saintly persons. Saeva sadhu sukrito mokshadvaram apavritam. This is again prasangamajaram pasham atmanaha kavayo viduhu. Viduhu is one who knows. Atmanaha kavayo viduhu. And what they will do, prasanga majaram pasham, thinking that association with materialistic people, it will put them into entanglement. So what they will do, saeva sadhushukrito mokshadvaram apavritam. They make association with the devotees and saintly people. Then mokshadvaram, liberation, the path to the liberation, it gets opened. So that's why one has to pray that I wanted to have association with the saintly people. Sanghateshu atite prajya sangadosha harahite. So there, Kapil Bhagavan says one has to pray. Sanghateshu atite prajya. Oh mighty Lord, please give me the devotees association. Then by that one, devotees association, what happened? Sangadosha harahite. Any faults when we are associating with the material faults, materialistic people, the faults will be subsided. Sangadosha harahite, they will be eradicated out. And because saintly people speak about Krishna Katha, they speak about transcendental knowledge, by that one will every day, he will be refreshing his knowledge. He will be rejuvenating his spiritual identity. Okay, that's why association with saintly persons is required. All his doubts about spiritual expansion of life are eradicated out, and he makes tangible progress on the path of spiritual understanding. It is also sometimes found that people are very much addicted to a particular type of religious faith. Again, this is some people, they go to the sacred places, but they do have got many people coming there, where those people have got too much addicted to sex life. So that association, we do not know who is a devotee, who is not a devotee, until we hear when he speaks, what kind of language he speaks, and what kind of behavior it is, where his association, how he is spending his time in his life. So we need to be careful with whom we are associating. So here it is clearly said, one may officially be a very religious man, but if he associates with such persons, then he is sure to slide down to the darkest region of hell. So that's why we have got very beautiful descriptions in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is all auspicious. Tadvaidum Bodha Mangala Mangalaya Jyanes Pono Datsitam Ta Upasakanam Tasmai Bhagavato Yonadruta Narkabhagbihi Asat Prasangaihi. And who is engaging in the prasangas, Asat Prasangaihi, they will go to the Narkabhagbihi, they go to the hell. And whereas Lord is available for the devotees, they go to the path to the spiritual world. यन्न व्रजिन्तगविदो रचनानुवादा शृण्वन्ति ये विषयाः कुकथा मतिग्निः कुकथा मतिग्निः. So there again Brahma says one has to hear the beautiful descriptions of the Vaikuntha planet, where how the people in the Vaikuntha, they are engaging their beautiful aeroplanes along with their concerts, singing the glories of the Lord, and so many of the goddess of fortunes rendering service, trying to cleanse those walls which are made up of gold and jewels. One has to hear that Lord Brahma says. If one does not discuss those topics, then he would discuss the asat prasangaihi. Then he will go to the darkest region. If he is not discussing, if even the materialistic people, if I ask them to speak very beautiful things, they cannot say some beautiful things. They cannot describe anything. But I don't know. Sometimes we may come across, but we have got very beautiful Srimad Bhagavatam and the scriptures. Okay, these are all auspicious. Okay, that is from the shloka. So here, Kapil Bhagavan says that yes, yad asadbihi patipunaha sisnodara kruhodhyamaihi asito ramate jantu tamo vishati purvavat. Okay, and then further moving to the next shloka, 33. So in such a way, the living entity will lose the purity and mercy and calmness and the shyness and fame and forgiveness, all good qualities. Everything will be lost by associating with the people who have got bad habits. See the 33 shloka. Satyam saucham daya maunam buddhihi shrihi hrihi yashaha kshama shamo dhamo bhagvascheti yat sangadyati sankshayam. Satyam, Saucham, Daya, Maunam. Satyam is truthfulness, Saucham, cleanliness, Daya, mercy, Maunam, gravity, Buddhihi is intelligence, Shrihi, prosperity, Hrihi, shyness, Yashaha, fame, Kshama, forgiveness, Samaha, control of the mind, Damaha, control of the senses, and Bhagasha iti, all fortune and all this. Yat sangadyat sankshayam, by associating with whom, these are all destroyed. See, all these good qualities will be destroyed when we associate with the asat What is asat means? People who are addicted for the tongue and then genitals, and this is all bad, or associated with the bad people. And when we associate with bad people, all our good qualities will be destroyed. Okay, Satyam, Saucham, Daya, Maunam, Buddhihi, Shrihi, Hirihi, Yashaha, Kshama, Samodama, Bhagvasheti, Yat Sangat, Yat Sankshayam. The translation. He becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all such opportunities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada teacher. Can I request any devotee to read the purport, please?
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Those who are too addicted to sex life cannot understand the purpose of the absolute truth, nor can they be clean in their habits, not to mention showing mercy to others. They cannot remain grave, and they have no interest in the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is Krishna or Vishnu, but those who are addicted to sex life cannot understand that their ultimate interest is Krishna consciousness. Such people have no sense of decency, and even in public streets or public parks, they embrace each other just like cats and dogs and pass it off in the name of lovemaking. Such unfortunate creatures can never become materially prosperous. Behavior like that of cats and dogs keeps them in the position of cats and dogs. They cannot improve any material condition, not to speak of becoming famous. Such foolish persons may even make a show of so-called yoga, but they are unable to control the senses and mind, which is the real purpose of yoga practice. Such people can have no opulence in their lives. In a word, they are very unfortunate. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. So again, this is a repetition of the previous discussion. So those who are addicted to sex life cannot understand the purpose of, because it is the Hridaya Grandhi. Bhijjate Hridaya Grandhi siddhyante sarva samsayaha kshiyante cha asya karmani drushta eva atmanishvare. When there is a the knot in the heart, it is disconnected, then only he will be able to see the purpose of absolute. So he cannot understand the purpose of the absolute truth. Otherwise, he is always covered by, because of the lusty desires in the heart. It will cover the heart. But even in the family life, one maybe Prabhupada mentions, as salt is used in the vegetables as much as needed, one can accept a little as much as required, so that he will carry on with his life in the spiritual life, but to maintain the family relations and affairs as much as needed. So here, but people who are addicted, so they can, nor can they be clean in their habits, not to mention showing mercy to others. So here, but these qualities could manifest only in the devotees, but who are going manoraten asati dhavato bahihi, their heart is being pulled outside for sense enjoyment. How can any good qualities? Hara bhaktasya kuto mahadgunaha. How can any good qualities would exist in them? Manoratena dha asati dhavato bahihi. Their heart is being pulled outwards. So they cannot remain grave, and they have no interest in the ultimate goal of life. Ultimate goal of life is Krishna or Vishnu. That is, baby in the womb, he also prays that I wanted to take the lotus feet of the Lord. Vishnu Padaha. There is, what is that last shloka? It is mentioned. It is Mami Bhavshiti Upasadita Vishnu Padaha. He wanted to take the lotus feet of the Vishnu, but here he will forget. Hatasprutihi. And so here, such people have no sense of decency, and even in the public streets. So this is the purpose in this age of Kali. People, irrespective of the time, place, and circumstances, they engage themselves like embrace each other, just like cats and dogs. Especially we see wherever you go, people are like that. They are shameless, and they do everything in the public. So Mother Earth, in the form of a cow, whenever speaking to bull, who is a dharma, religious personified in the form of a bull. So at the time, whenever Mother Earth was crying, at that time bull asked, "Why are you crying?" So, are you crying for, because in this age of Kali, people, they will be act like a cats and dogs and embrace each other in the streets, and without following rules and regulations. In such a way, they spread all the badness in the society and community, ruin the Varnashrama Dharma, ruin the Aryan civilization. For that reason, are you crying? So this is personified Dharma asks, because that is going to happen in this age of Kali. Now we practically see it. So here, those people like cats and dogs, they pass it off in the name of love making, but actually it is lusty. It is not love. Love means it is a sacrifice. It is meant only between mother loves child. That we can see partially, at least in this material world. The topmost love, mother's love is the topmost. And Krishna's love, because he accompanies, it is beyond the mother's love. Wherever the living entity goes, he always accompanies. That is the most love we see. Krishna's love is the topmost. Of course, he is also our mother. Pitahamasya, Mata Dhata Pitamaha. He is also our mother. Okay, he is eternal mother. But here, that is love making it just a karma. When we try to do something for Krishna, it is called love. But there is no love in this material world between the living entities apart from the mother to child. And such unfortunate creatures can never become materially prosperous. Such unfortunate creatures can never become materially prosperous. So behavior like that of cats and dogs keeps them into the position of cats and dogs. That is the consciousness level. Going back into the Though in the human bodies, their consciousness back to dog animalistic level. So they cannot improve any material condition also, not to speak of becoming famous. So such foolish persons may even make a show of so-called yoga, but they are unable to control the senses and mind because all of their lusty desires, but they are covered. Kama yesha, krodha yesha, rajo guna samudbhava. But those lusty desires are covered by different activities, different layers. One may be posing themselves as in a great personality or celebrity or a beautiful person, something like that. But the desires, deep desires, they will make in due course of time, they exhibit through their words and their activities. Okay, so but here the real purpose of yoga practice is to free oneself from the sense gratification. But they use for opposite purpose. So such people can have no opulence in their lives. In a word, they are very unfortunate. So again, Prabhupada says yoga practice does not mean that one become a fatty and strong like that. Yoga practice means it is not for that purpose. It is to meant yoga adhyatmika pumsam mato nishreyasarmi atyanta upratyatra dukkasya cha sukasya cha. One should elevate himself, free himself from the pains and pleasure of this material world. That is yoga. Yoga adhyatmika pumsam mato nishreyasarmi. That is atyanta upratyatra dukkasya cha sukasya cha. That is the purpose, not otherwise to make the body fat and then showing the strongness. It is not for that purpose. That is only to agitate the sexual desires, and it will enable the desires for genitals and the palate. Okay, so Prabhupada said they are very unfortunate. Sa atmaha, they're killers of their own soul, misusing all the opportunities in the human life. Okay, there I stop. I request the devotees. Gone for a few minutes of 9 o'clock. So if you have got any questions, kindly ask, or anything to share or reflect, kindly ask or share and reflect. Hare Krishna. No questions? No.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
May I just ask a quick question? You know, from the diagram you showed us.
Yes, madam.
Yes. So just so that I have understood it correct, you said that if, for instance, from a human being, someone falls down again, a living entity falls down to whichever level, 7 or 8, then when they can't jump and come back to the human being level, can they? They have to do it step by step. Is that how it happens?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that could take few births,
Yes.
another few. Okay.
This is some anukramya. This is kramaha sam anukramya. This is again kramashah sam anukramya. Punaratra brajet suchihi, gradually, step by step. Kramashah sam anukramya.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, it's about the association bit.
Yes.
If you are that highly situated in Krishna consciousness, you have nothing to worry about, isn't that right? So you can tolerate anything.
Yes, yes.
So you say about, it is the worst thing to keep bad association. Well, in a way, sometimes you're living with people who are bad association because you have no other option. But your heart is cleansed and you're a real good devotee, You're practicing everything perfectly well. So
you're in a better place, and you can tolerate, like Prabhupada did when he had all those hippies living with meat and sometimes half naked people.
Yes.
So
There, the association is giving or taking, that matters.
yes, you can give, but because you're not going to be joining in that kind of behavior, and also you wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't have that kind of heart where you would condemn that person or walk away from them, especially if they need help. Would you?
We just help them, we give association, and we give transcendental knowledge. We do not hear their stories, how they're doing. We don't hear those things.
Yes, you wouldn't. Yeah, I see what you mean. You're not going to be listening to their, what shall I say, their lustful behavior.
Yes.
Yeah, but the association, this is a no association. That really, I get confused sometimes. I think the world is a no place anyway. But we have to tolerate them and be nice to them, and maybe they can change.
Yes. Yes, Mataji.
Because the hippies were lustful people, they were into drug, alcohol, and freedom and sexual behavior.
Yes. So for them, we just do bhajans, invite them, give prasadam, and then gradually, little by day, day by day, they will be purified, and then ask the relevant questions. Instead of they speak, and then they will hear. When they hear more, and then they will be purified.
That's right, yeah. Like Prabhupada did.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Next questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the nice explanation again with the ChatGPT, all the generated pictures and all. Thank you. As you said, if one cannot deliver his dependent from the path of repeated birth and death, he should never become a spiritual master, a mother, a father, or a demigod, right?
Yes.
But then, if we see Daksha, he had 10,000 sons. And then Narad Muni had to come in between. So here again, we see the spiritual master plays a very big role in everybody's life. Narad Muni converted the 10,000 sons in one go. But also, Daksha told them they were going to get married when they come after the tapasya. They went to do tapasya in the forest. And when they came back, they were going to get married. But then Narad Muni intercepted them and then transformed them into devotees. And then another thousands again came. He did the same thing. So again, I will lay stress again on this fact that we need to have a spiritual master in our life. Because more than parents, the spiritual master guides us, teaches us. That should be our main goal in life. Also, parents also should have spiritual masters so that their children follows. If parents, they don't take to spiritual life and don't have a guru, children also will not know what is the importance of the guru. So both play their role here. That's why whoever hasn't had a spiritual master yet, who hasn't had taken shelter of a spiritual master, they have to think about it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. It's very beautiful definition.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, that chart is really very nice to understand. So now we all follow Krishna conscious. Where do we stand, Prabhuji, there? I know we are in the human birth.
Yes, and Varnashrama Dharma, whether are we acting according to our qualities acquired, whether I'm a Shudra or Brahma, Kshatriya, that is Varna society. It is meant, every activity is meant for some Siddhir Haritoshanam. Only for the pleasure of Krishna we work as a matter of duty. And then we are in this one. And then further, Are we reading the Vedas? So we need to ask, Brahmana, are we the Brahmanas? And Vedajna, do we know the meanings of the Vedas? And then later on, are we able to discuss Ardhajna? So this is again. And then Samsaycheta, are we able to clear the doubts if someone asks? And then further, this is the levels. Further is the Swakarma Krut. Am I following those instructions, whatever I speak? And then Mukta Sangaha. Am I still attached to the results of the activities, or I'm freed? So that again, Mukta Sangaha. No more attachment to the results of activity. And then Adogda Dharmamatmanaha. Surrendering unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, there are further levels, and they are offering every activity of our life. So Tasmar Mai Arpita Ashesha Nirantara, all the time. And Maya Arpita Atmanaha. And then so Mat Sanyasya Matpara. This is Mai Sanyasya Karmana. And then Akartuhu Samadarshana. Akartuhu Samadari. He become Akartu. Means everything is only for Krishna, living life. Samadarshana. And then further going about Niswadha Seva, Ananta Bhakti, Prema Bhakti, Krishna Prema, Parakasta, and Krishna's nearest devotee, Krishna's confidential servant, entering Krishna's abode, then become servant of Radha Krishna personally. So this is different levels. So where we are, it is self-answerable. Only one knows where he is.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Well explained. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. A very beautiful reflection question. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Any other questions, dear devotees?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare.
One question. You know the Guru Nasyat and Pita Nasyat and Swajano Nasyat, that one. I'm thinking that, you know, sometimes someone becomes a guru, but they don't know what their disciple is going to turn out like. Same with parenting. We don't know. Same with community and all that. So, you know, people start with all those with good intention, but then they can't always deliver their disciples or whatever. So then what happens then?
So as we generally speak, everyone comes with their own baggage. Though that baggage is at the moment, it is like a condensed version when they're children. So under the care of parents, child is covered baggage. We think that is small, but that baggage is also not yet manifested yet, which is carrying from past life. We will see whenever they're after 16 years or 17 years, we will see those are gradually manifesting their desires and everything else. Until then, they are just because in the 20, Itkivam Saisun Bhokpa Bhukam Paughandamewa Alabdha Bipto Adhana Idhamanyu Sucharpitaha, because he did not have that facility to fulfill his desires. That's why he takes a shelter. Once he comes to 16 years or adult age, he will do everything by himself. At the time we think that my children is not hearing me. This is not our problem. It is every living entity is different. But what we can do, offer the facilities so that they can progress spiritually. And we can say that what is right, what is not right, what is permanent, what is not permanent. But taking it or not, it is up to that person. We bring them up to the spiritual knowledge. If they are hearing and taking the good instructions, they can make a tangible progress. Otherwise, we are not the body, and every living entity is individual. They have relationship with Krishna, not the bodily relations. But of course, we see that these are family members. We need to show compassion. This is called entanglement.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Jai Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
As a mother, or grandmother, or sister, or sister-in-law, whoever, do your share. If you put the Bhaktilata Bij, the seed in the heart, if not in this birth, next birth, they will pick up. Do your share and leave it. Don't worry. Neki kar darya mein dal. That's what is, So do that.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
so good. Thank you. Yes, yeah. Thank you so much. That's all we can do, I suppose. As parents, we can keep on trying.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Yes, if there are no further questions, then we can conclude our session for today.
Shall we say 3 Hari Bols to Prabhuji? Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vancha
Kalpatarubhyasya
kalpatarubhyasya
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Nantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki
Ki jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hari
Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you